So, what does hope and innocence imply over here? Innocence. What does it mean? What does it imply? The word whisper implies something gentle and quiet and subtle, which evokes a sense of purity or fragility. It suggests that the young woman is entering the world with a sense of delicacy or vulnerability, almost like a quiet, unspoken presence. Crinoline and lace are often associated with traditional feminine clothing, which adds to the sense of youthfulness and innocence. Hope. The combination of crinoline and lace carries a sense of aspiration or optimism, as these materials are often used for special occasions or formal wear, signifying a fresh start or new beginnings. The light, delicate nature of lace in particular can symbolize dreams, beauty, and the possibility of something better, especially as the young woman is setting off on a journey to California, which represents hope for a new life and a reunion with her father. The name stitched inside each one symbolizes her sense of identity and possibility, and possibly her mother's loving care, as stitching a name is a way to ensure she isn't lost or forgotten. Now, next lines. She is leaving behind the dirt roads of Mississippi, the film of red dust around her ankles, the thin whistle of wind through the floorboards of the shotgun house, the very idea of home. Here, the mother's southern roots are emphasized. The dirt roads of Mississippi and the red dust evoke a rural, impoverished landscape. The image of the thin whistle of wind through the floorboards gives a sense of fragility and discomfort in her home life. The shotgun house, a small, modest dwelling, suggests economic hardship. The phrase, the very idea of home, hints at the both physical place she is leaving and the deeper emotional connection to her origins, which she is also forced to abandon. Emotional connection. The mother's ties to her roots in Mississippi go beyond the physical details of the dirt roads and the shotgun house. These images are symbolic of her childhood, family, and identity, things that have shaped her life. Leaving behind this environment means that she is also leaving behind the emotional comfort or attachment she has to her origins. Even though she may feel the need to move forward, there is still an emotional weight tied to her home and upbringing that she must leave behind in pursuit of a better future. What is she forced to abandon? This suggests that the word forced to abandon, it suggests that the mother's departure is not necessarily voluntarily or entirely by choice. It is a result of circumstances of her life, such as poverty or a desire for change. The idea of home isn't just a place but a complex emotional attachment, and leaving it represents both physical distance and emotional separation from everything that has defined her up to that point. In essence, the phrase acknowledges that the mother is not just leaving a physical place but also letting go of the emotional and personal history tied to her home. This emotional separation is just as significant as the physical journey she is taking. Ahead of her days of travel, one town after the next, and California, a word she can't stop repeating. So these lines encapsulate the emotional and symbolic significance of the journey for the poet's mother. The excitement and hopefulness is implied over here. The mention of California suggests a dream or a goal that holds immense promise. It is a symbol of new beginnings, opportunity, and freedom, especially when contrasted with the life she is leaving behind in Mississippi, characterized by poverty and limitation. The repetition of the word California in her mind reflects her anticipation and excitement. It reveals her youthful optimism and the belief that this journey will lead to something transformative and better. Symbolism of California. California is not just a destination, it represents a psychological and emotional escape from the hardships of her past. To her, it holds the allure and enticement of a brighter future, personal growth, and perhaps a chance to redefine her life. The idea of California is also tied to her father, whom she longs to reunite with. This makes the journey deeply personal, intertwining hope for familiar connection with her aspirations for a new life. The journey is also taken as a threshold. The days of travel, one town after the next, it emphasizes the long and arduous, hard nature of her journey, symbolizing the effort and endurance which is required to move from her current life to her imagined future. The juxtaposition of the repetitive and monotonous travel with her mental repetition of California highlights her determination to focus on the promise of what lies ahead despite the present challenges. It also highlights the themes of wonder and anticipation. Her fixation on the word California reveals her youthful wonder, a sense of marvel at the unknown possibilities which are waiting for her. The anticipation of this journey is tinged with innocence as she envisions a reunion with her father and a better future, even though the reality may not align with her expectations. In essence, these lines beautifully convey a mix of innocence, hope, and determination as the mother embarks on a journey that is both literal and symbolic. They highlight the power of aspiration and the emotional resonance of seeking something greater, even amid uncertainty. Over and over, she will practice meeting her father. Imagine how he must look, how different now from the photo she has of him. So, what this highlights the emotional weight and her anticipation. The mother's repeated practice of meeting her father, it highlights her longing and her emotional investment in the journey. This anticipation goes beyond casual excitement. It reflects a deep need for connection. The act of practicing implies a ritualistic preparation, as though she is trying to control or rehearse an event that feels monumental for her and uncertain as well. This suggests both hope and anxiety as well. What is the role of the photograph? The single photograph she has of her father becomes a symbolic anchor for her hopes. It is her only connection to him, and she relies on it to construct an image of who he is now. Her imagining how he must look, how different now, it acknowledges the passage of time and her awareness that the father she once knew or imagined may not match the man she will meet. This gap between memory and reality intensifies her vulnerability. Therefore, the themes of vulnerability and distance are highlighted over here. The repeated practicing highlights the emotional fragility of her journey. She is preparing for something she deeply desires, but also fears might not meet her expectations. The description shows the distance between her idealized father and the reality she will face. This emotional gap mirrors the physical distance she is traveling and heightens the tension of her journey. Hmm. Excuse me. Youthful hope and innocence is also being highlighted over here. The focus on imagining and rehearsing interaction emphasizes her youthful innocence. As a 16-year-old, her world is shaped by hopes and dreams, and this journey is her attempt to realize them. This hope, however, is fragile, dependent on the actions and presence of someone who may not reciprocate her longing, leaving her open to disappointment. To sum up, these lines, in a very deep manner, illustrate the mother's emotional vulnerability, the weight of her hope, and the inevitable uncertainty that comes with placing such high expectations on a single moment or person. Let us move ahead. She will look at it once more, pulling into the station at Los Angeles, and then again on the platform, no one like him in sight. In this climactic moment, the mother's hope collides with disappointment. She repeatedly searches the crowd with the image of her father in her mind, only to find no one like him inside. This line poignantly captures the absence of her father, turning her journey of hope into one of loss and abandonment. Now let us move on to the second stanza. The year the old crescent makes its last run, my mother insists we ride it together. Moving forward in time, the poem shifts to the speaker's perspective and reintroduces the train, which is named the crescent. Now it is at the end of its service, symbolizing the passing of time and possibly the closing of a life chapter. The mother's insistence that they ride it together suggests her desire to reconnect with her past and share this experience with her child. We leave Gulfport late morning heading east. What is the symbolism of this direction? The direction of this journey is significant in its contrast to the earlier journey described in the first part of the poem. In 1959, the mother's journey moved westward towards California, which is a symbolic direction in literature and culture, often which is associated with hope, opportunity, and new beginnings moving to the west. Okay. Now, in this journey, however, they are traveling eastward. This change in direction symbolizes a shift in perspective. Rather than moving toward an imagined future, this journey might represent a return to the past, a reflection on roots, or a confrontation with unresolved memories. What does this whole idea has? What kind of connection this whole idea has with time and the reflection which this person is going through? The fact that this journey takes place years later implies that it is less about aspiration and more about self-analysis. Heading east suggests a move toward origins, as the poet and her mother retrace steps in the metaphorical sense, revisiting earlier experiences and reflecting on how they have changed. The journey eastward also resonates with the theme of cyclical time in the poem, suggesting that while the characters have moved forward in life, they are still emotionally tied to their past. Now, what is the role of Gulfport? Gulfport is a city in Mississippi. It is a specific and deliberate choice. It grounds the poem in the South, emphasizing the mother's origins and the socio-economic and cultural background she has tried to leave behind. By starting this journey from Gulfport, the poet highlights the lasting connection to her southern roots, even as the mother attempts to leave them. Con- the contrasting journey. Okay, the journeys they contrast with each other, the earlier journey and the present journey. So the earlier westward journey was filled with youthful optimism and idealism driven by the mother's hope to reunite with her father. It was forward looking, although it was tinged with inevitable disappointment as well. This eastward journey, in contrast to that, it feels more serious and mature. The mother is now accompanied by her child, which happens to be the poet, which shifts the emotional focus. She seems more aware of life's uncertainties, yet she remains resolute. How? Sure, we can leave home, bound only for whatever awaits us, as implied in this verse. What is the symbol of time of the day? The mention of late morning as the starting point suggests the passage of time, not only in the day but metaphorically in life. It is no longer dawn, that happens to be the beginning of a journey or life, but not also evening. It is not the conclusion as well. So this is the midpoint. So this midpoint reflects a stage of life where reflection is natural and meaningful. In summary, the direction and context of this journey symbolize self examination, the revisiting of origins, and the inevitable reckoning with the past. It contrasts sharply with the earlier westward journey, highlighting the evolution of the mother's perspective. Okay, next lines. Years before we rode together to meet another man, my father, waiting for us as our train derailed. The poet introduces another layer of family history, revealing a past attempt to reunite as a family that ended in derailment. The train derailing serves as a metaphor for disrupted expectations and the instability in the speaker's family life. I don't recall how she must have held me, how her face sank as she realized again the uncertainty of it all. That trip, too gone wrong. Okay, so here we can see the theme of disappointment, but this happens to be a recurrent theme. Okay, it happens to be a recurring theme. The poem captures the mother's repeated experiences of disappointment, of disillusionment. The phrase again, the uncertainty of it all, suggests that this was not the first time her expectations were met with disappointment. The use of again emphasizes the cyclical nature of her struggles. Dreams and plans seem perpetually disrupted. The earlier journey to meet the speaker's father, which ended in a train derailment, becomes a metaphor for life's unpredictability and the mother's inability to achieve a sense of stability or fulfillment. This derailment is not just physical, but symbolic of emotional derailments, failed relationships, and unfulfilled aspirations. Okay, the speaker admits over here that I do not recall how she must have held me. So this lack of memory reflects their youth at the time, but it also implies an emotional distance or a suppressed memory. The speaker acknowledges that her mother's emotional burden without the speaker acknowledges her mother's emotional burden without fully grasping or remembering its weight, highlighting the disconnection between the pain of the parent and the perception of the child. This absence of memory also serves to universalize the mother's plight. Her struggles may not have left a direct mark on the child at that moment, but the effects of those struggles, they linger in their shared history. What is the mother's realization at this point? The mother's face sank. This is a vivid and poignant detail that captures her reaction to another disappointment. The physicality of her reaction makes her emotional pain quite tangible. The sinking face signals a moment of realization where hope is overtaken by the reality of yet another failed expectation. Now, what does the trip gone wrong symbolize? The trip to gone wrong links this failed journey to other failed journeys in the mother's life, particularly her earlier attempt to reconnect with her father. The phrase suggests that for her, journeys are rarely just physical; they carry deep emotional stakes as well, and their failure resonate beyond the immediate moment. This line foreshadows a pattern of struggles, suggesting that hope and disappointment are intertwined in Mother's life. It also ties into the poem's broader exploration of journeys as metaphors for life's challenges and uncertainties. The mother's repeated experiences of uncertainty and abandon shape not only her own journey but also her child's understanding of family and identity. By referencing this moment of derailment and uncertainty, the poem emphasizes the fragility of human aspirations, the emotional scars of repeated failures, and strength required to persist in the face of such challenges. So, in summary, these verses highlight the mother's recurring struggles with loss and disappointment, the speaker's partial detachment from those experiences, and the symbolic weight of the derailment as a marker of disrupted dreams and ongoing uncertainty. Now let us move ahead. Today, she is sure we can leave home, bound only for whatever awaits us. The sun now setting behind us, the rails humming like anticipation, the train pulling us toward the end of another day. Okay, now this is a contrast between the past and present certainty. The mother's determination in the verse, she is sure we can leave home, it marks a striking shift from earlier moments of uncertainty and failed journeys. Her past experiences of disappointment and broken dreams, they no longer dominate her outlook of life. Instead, she approaches this journey with a quiet resolve and acceptance, suggesting growth and resilience. What does the sun setting behind us symbolify? The imagery of the sun now setting behind us, it works on multiple levels. It might it signifies the literal end of the day, but it also hints at the closing of a chapter in their lives. The phrase evokes the passage of time, highlighting the inevitability of change and the transitory nature of life. While sunsets can symbolize endings, they often carry a sense of beauty and tranquility as well, suggesting that the mother views this phase of life with acceptance rather than despair. The verse "rails humming like anticipation" conveys a sense of motion and forward momentum. This tactile and auditory detail fills the scene with life, symbolizing the energy and possibility that still lie ahead. This anticipation is tempered, however, by the mother's awareness of past disappointments. The sound of rails suggests that while the journey is uncertain, it is undertaken with a sense of readiness to embrace whatever comes next. The verse towards the end of another day. So the end of another day carries a sense of finality, hinting at the passage of time and perhaps mortality. It reflects the understanding that every journey and every life must reach its conclusion. Despite this awareness, the mother continues the journey, symbolizing a resilience that pushes forward in the face of life's uncertainty. So these lines capture a key moment of transformation. Unlike the earlier journey marked by derailment and disappointment, this one is propelled by acceptance and determination. The mother no longer clings to specific expectations as she did with her father, but instead moves forward with openness to the unknown, as suggested by bound only for whatever awaits us. In summary, these verses portray a mature, evolved perspective in the mother's journey. She has grown from a hopeful but uncertain young girl into a woman who understands life's impermanence yet continues to move forward with purpose and grace. Now, this takes us to the last lines of the poem. I watch each small town pass before my window until the light goes and the dark reflection of my mother's face appears clearer now as evening comes on, dark and certain. So, here we can see a transition from external to internal. The speaker begins by observing the external world. Each small town passed before my window. So the imagery suggests the passage of time and the fleeting nature of life's moments. These towns, glimpsed briefly, represent both the literal journey on the train and the metaphorical journey through life, where experiences and places are temporarily fading into the past. So as the light goes, the focus shifts from the external view outside the window to the internal reflection, literally the reflection of the mother's face in the glass. This mirrors the poem's broader thematic movement from outward events, which happens to be the train journeys and the places left behind, to deeper emotional and psychological insights. The reflection of my mother's face, growing clearer now, is rich with symbolic meaning. What is the emotional understanding of this? The speaker sees her mother's face more clearly in the window as the light outside fades. This suggests that as external distractions diminish, she gains a clearer emotional and empathetic understanding of her mother's life and struggles. She perceives her mother not just as a parent but as a woman shaped by loss, resilience, and complex emotion. The description of the mother's face as dark and certain captures both its physical and metaphorical qualities. Darkness. This could symbolize the hardships and uncertainties her mother has faced. It reflects a life marked by disappointment, such as failed journeys and unmet expectations. For example, not finding her father at the station or the derailed train. And it also highlights certainty. Despite the darkness, the mother displays a sense of resolve and acceptance. This reflects her strength in embracing life's challenges with a quiet determination. The word certain contrasts with the earlier uncertainties of her life, suggesting a hard won clarity about her place in the world and her role as a mother. Now, there is an interplay between light and dark. Okay, na? It adds depth to the imagery. As the light goes, it symbolizes the passage of time, the fading of youthful optimism, and the inevitable approach of endings, both literal and metaphorical. Yet, within the growing darkness, the mother's face becomes clearer, suggesting that wisdom and understanding often emerge from difficult experiences and moments of introspection. What are the broader implications of this? The final image is a culmination of poem's exploration of movement, loss, and understanding. As the train continues its journey, the speaker realizes that while destinations may remain uncertain, the connections forged along the way, like the one between mother and child, can provide clarity and meaning amid life's unpredictability. Okay. With this, we are going to end the details of this poem, and we are going to move on to the rhyme scheme and the meter of this one. The poem is written in free verse with no consistent rhyme scheme or any meter. This reflects what? This reflects the fluid, the overflowing, the narrative style of the poem, and it allows the language to flow naturally like a story is being recounted. The absence of rhyme in rhythm, it also mirrors the unpredictability and uncertainty of life's journey, which is a central theme in the poem. Now, let us move on to the structure of the poem. The poem is divided into two sections. The 1959 journey, which is in the first person narrative about the mother. This section recounts the mother's hopeful journey westward as a teenager. Then the final journey, which is together. This is reflections with the mother. Okay, na? The first part, which is the journey in 1959, it is the narrative about the mother. And the second journey, it happens to be the reflections with the mother. This second section is reflective and contrasts the past with the present. It captures the speaker's perspective as an adult riding eastward with her mother. The juxtaposition of these two journeys emphasizes the cyclical nature of hope, disappointment, and resilience. Now move on let us move on to the literary devices. First literary device is enjambment. The lines are enjambed. They are flowing across line breaks, which creates a sense of continuity and it mirrors the movement of the train as well. Then imagery. The poem is rich with visual imagery, which helps the reader picture the settings and the emotions. For example, the dirt roads of Mississippi, the film of red dust around her ankles. This evokes the mother's rural, impoverished roots. Homemade dresses whisper of cleanliness. This suggests her youth and innocence, while also conveying the care and love put into in preparing her journey. Rails humming like anticipation. This auditory image evokes excitement but also tension as the journey unfolds. Then, next literary device is symbolism. California is a symbol of hope, opportunity, and a fresh start. It reflects the mother's youthful optimism, but it also contrasts with the disappointments she faces. The train, again, is a symbol. It is a metaphor for life's journey. With its unpredictability, its stops, and its derailments. And next symbolism is the reflection of the mother's face. What does it symbolize? It represents clarity of understanding, maturity, and the bond between the speaker and her mother. Next literary device is contrast. The contrast between the first and the second section. The first section focuses on the mother's youthful hope and idealism as she sets out westward. The second section reflects a more grounded, reflective tone as the speaker and her mother travel eastward, symbolizing a return to origins and a reckoning with the past. Next literary device is personification, rails humming like anticipation. The train's movement is filled with a sense of life and expectation, mirroring the emotional tension of the journey. Now, with this, we are going to end the literary devices and move on to the themes. The first theme is hope and disappointment. The mother's anticipation of meeting her father contrasts with the later realization of his absence, capturing the fragile nature of hope. Next theme is journey and transition. The train journey becomes a metaphor for personal growth and life's unpredictability and the passage of time. Third theme is family and generational bonds. The speaker's growing understanding of a mother reflects the enduring and evolving nature of familiar relationships. The fourth theme is resilience in the face of uncertainty. Despite life's derailments, the mother continues to move forward, embodying strength and determination. With this, we are going to end this poem, and I hope you've understood everything. If you've got any questions, you can easily approach me. Jazakallah.